Randasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangumulam Gayate Girim Yatkripatamahamam Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. We welcome you all for our Krishna book discussion. So today we are going to start with our first chapter on the auspicious day of Ekadashi, Indra Ekadashi. So yesterday we were discussing about what Srila Prabhupada wrote in introduction, how reading about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, talking about Krishna, it's all auspicious for everyone. And we also discussed about the different dynasties in which Krishna's father, mother, aunt, uncle, everyone, they came from. So today we are going to start with the first chapter, the advent of Lord Krishna. And as we were discussing yesterday, we will read the summary in Krishna book, and wherever needed, we will delve a bit more in the appropriate verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you take a chapter summary of Krishna book, and side by side if you keep just the translation of the different verses of every chapter, you'll be amazed how much trouble Srila Prabhupada actually took to paraphrase each and every verse, translation of each and every verse without skipping even one detail. But Prabhupada actually rewrote the entire translation again in simple words. As you know, the entire Krishna book, it doesn't have any shloka in it. It's a summary study, same as Nectar of Devotion. So this is like a study guide, if you like, for Srimad Bhagavatam. In one place, Srila Prabhupada is saying, in a morning walk in Vrindavan, they are thinking, this book Krishna is just a story book. And Prabhupada says, and Prabhupada laughs, says, this is not a story book. I have put every bit of philosophy in this beautiful book, narrating the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. So today, on this very auspicious Ekadashi Maha Mahotsav, we are going to get started with chapter 1, the advent of Lord Shri Krishna. Once Mother Earth, she was feeling very much burdened. It's given in the Shastras, we have 7 mothers. Just like a mother would carry a baby, mother will never feel burdened. Similarly, all the 8.4 million species, they are considered to be the kids, the children of Mother Earth. And Shastras say there are 7 different types of mothers we all have. Atma Mata, Guru Patni, Brahmani, Raja Patnika, Denu, Datri, Tata, Prithvi, Saptaita, Matra Smritaha, it's given. Atma Mata means one's own biological mother. Guru Patni, the wife of Guru. Brahmani, the wife of Brahmana. Raja Patnika, the queen. The wife of the king. Denu, cow. Datri, the nurse who helped us at the time of taking birth. She is also one of our mothers. So if somebody works in the profession of a nurse, it's a very, very noble profession. Even Shastras, they give a very special privilege, special mention about them. Denu Datri Tata Prithvi, Mother Earth. She is also one of our 7 mothers. So normally a mother will not feel burden. A mother is there, a little baby is born, lying down on her lap. She feels very deep, profound pleasure in her heart. But once Mother Earth, she was feeling very much burdened. Burdened by what? Burdened by the unnecessary accumulation of weapons, extraordinary growth of the population of demons. So normally in this world there is supposed to be a balance between religion and irreligion, and always religion is supposed to be at upper hand. Ideally, religion is supposed to be the only thing that should be present in this world. Irreligion should not be here at all. But at least as a bare minimum, there has to be a balance. But there was a time 5,000 years ago that irreligion was dominating predominantly the power of religion. So Mother Earth, seeing nobody is actually following the true path, the righteous path, she was feeling very much burdened because of that. So she took the form of a cow. Just like you will see in different instances, she takes the form of a boat. She takes the form of the actual planet itself. In this instance, true to her position as one of our 7 mothers, she takes the form of a woman. And then she goes to Lord Brahma, expressing her grief with full of tears. So when she goes there, it is said at that time the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth known as Bhumi went to see Lord Brahma to tell of her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi Devi, even though she is our mother, as I said, she takes different forms. She takes the form of a cow sometimes. She takes the form of a boat also, you will see, in Matsya Avatar pastime. She takes the form of a planet also. So in this instance, she takes the form of a cow. And then she goes to Lord Brahma, expressing about her grief. So in that situation, when Brahma sees her being accompanied by so many different demigods, the demigods are called Prajapatis, progenitors you will come across. They are the original beings, and then whoever appeared after them, they are all considered to be their descendants. You will come across Chandravamsa, Suryavamsa. Chandravamsa headed by Soma, Suryavamsa by sun god himself. So the progenitors, they are called Prajapati, and Lord Brahma is addressed in Srimad Bhagavatam as Prajapati Pati, which means, Pati means the Lord. Lord Brahma is Prajapati Pati, means the Lord of all the Prajapatis, the Lord of all progenitors. So when Mother Cow, who has taken or Mother Earth, who has taken the form of a cow, accompanied by all these demigods, she goes and pleads to Lord Brahma to do something to fix the situation. Lord Brahma, being overcome by compassion, he takes everyone to meet the Supreme Lord, who is known as Kshirodakashai Vishnu, because he lies on the ocean of milk. So when we study Vedic cosmology in 5th canto, you will come across, even in Bhumandala, in our planet, we see the ocean is made of salt water. But in other Dvipa, you will see the ocean made of different substances. One is made of sugarcane, one is made of yogurt, sugarcane juice, yogurt, milk, so on and so forth. So in this planet, we have only saltwater ocean. So when Lord Brahma, being accompanied by the cow as well as all the demigods, it said it's headed by Shiva and Narada also. And Narada was singing ahead. They were having the Sankirtan party. And Shiva, who is known as Nataraj, because he's an expert dancer, he is also dancing. So this is the scene. Everyone is walking towards the shore of the milk ocean, Kshirodaka ocean. Now in 9th canto, there is a mention of a king by name Revat. Revat had a son by name Kakudmi. Kakudmi has a daughter by name Revati. So Kakudmi was a very, very pious king. So when Revati grew up to come to be of marriageable age, he wanted to choose a proper husband for her, as any father would do. So he was thinking he needs to give his daughter in marriage. But the $1 million question is, to who? So not knowing the answer, he thought it's better to just approach a senior personality to ask for advice. Kakudmi's position is so unique. He was so righteous, he was so devoted. He thought, I'll just go and ask Lord Brahma. So he just goes to Satyaloka all the way. He goes to Satyaloka and he wanted to ask Lord Brahma about who the suitable husband for his daughter Revati is. So as he goes to the assembly of Lord Brahma in Satyaloka, also known as Brahmaloka, Lord Brahma is seated in a kirtan that's led by Gandharvas, and is sitting there relishing the holy name of the Lord. And as the etiquette goes, when a senior personality, most senior personality, Prajapati Pati, chief of all demigods and sages, when he sits and relishes kirtan or any devotional activity, nobody would want to disturb. So Kakudmi was waiting there with his daughter. So Brahma watched the performance, and it's mentioned after a few moments he turned his attention towards Kakudmi, welcoming him to the assembly. And Kakudmi put forth this question to Brahma: who is the suitable husband to my daughter Revati? When he asked that, Srimad Bhagavatam 9th canto, it says, Shukadeva Goswami says, Brahma laughed out loud and he said, you are asking who the suitable husband for your daughter is? You might have had few personalities in mind, but because it's been just a few moments in Brahmaloka, or it's been a few moments in Brahmaloka since you arrived, so many years, hundreds of years have already passed in the material world. On all the personalities who you have had in mind, they died, their sons died, grandsons, everyone died. Many dynasties have been wiped out. Then Lord Brahma actually tells to Kakudmi, now it's Dwapara Yuga. You take your daughter, and Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna, had appeared along with this brother who is also Supreme Lord, Lord Balaram. He is the suitable match for your daughter. So Kakudmi thanks Brahma. He comes down, and you will see later on, Kakudmi brings his daughter Revati and offers to Balaram. Now because Kakudmi was a king in Satyuga personalities were very tall. Bhagavatam says that Revati, when she came in front of Lord Balaram, Balaram was assuming a height suitable for Dwapara Yuga Vasis. Revati is still on the height of Satyuga Vasis. So then Balaram used his hala, his plow, and then placed it on her head and he reduced her height, it's given. And then he married her. Now, when Kakudmi left this planet, it was Satyuga. He went to Lord Brahma during Satyuga. And during the entire duration of Satyuga, as well as Treta Yuga, as well as most of Dwapara Yuga. Remember, Krishna appeared just in the last 5,000 years. In fact, Krishna appeared in the Sandhya, in the Sandhi of both Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. Okay, last 3,000 years before the Dwapara Yuga finished, Krishna appeared then. So almost entire entire Satya Yuga got over, entire Treta Yuga got over, and almost the entirety of Dwapara Yuga also got over. During this entire duration, all the way from Satya Yuga, what was Lord Brahma doing in Satya Loka? He was sitting there relishing the Kirtan performance. Which means during this whole duration, Lord Brahma was already in Satya Yuga or Satya Loka or Brahma Loka. But here we see, before the appearance of Lord Krishna, Bhumi Devi assumed the form of a cow and she met Brahma. How can it be possible? Kakudmi also is with Brahma for 3 yugas simultaneously. And then Mother Earth in the form of a cow, she is also meeting Brahma. Now, in order to resolve this dilemma, our Acharyas write that there are 2 Brahmas. There is a Brahma in Brahma Loka or Satya Loka, Bhur, Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Maharjanas Tapas Satya, Swarga Loka, Maharjanas Tapas Satya Loka, 7th planetary system from our planet. Or if you count from the bottommost, it's the 14th planetary system, topmost of the 14 planetary systems. So that's called Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. That is considered as the home of Lord Brahma. So Brahma always resides there in his home. That Brahma, he is called as Hiranyagarbha Brahma. You will come across this term Hiranyagarbha. Whereas the Brahma who Bhumi Devi, accompanied by all the Prajapatis, accompanied by all the Devatas, she is meeting the Brahma who resides in his office on top of Sumeru mountain. If you remember Vedic cosmology, 5th canto, you will see on top of Mount Sumeru, it is golden. At the top of it, you will see 100,000 yojanas it's given, so tall. On top of that, there is a heavenly resort for each of the different primary gods. There is one for Varuna, one for Agni, it's given one for Indra. And in the centermost portion of Sumeru, on top of Sumeru, is the heavenly residence of Lord Brahma. In fact, it is mentioned it is on his courtyard, Mother Ganga, when she comes down to earth, first she falls on that. So there is an expansion of Lord Brahma who resides on top of Sumeru. His name is Vairaja Brahma. And it is this Brahma who Mother Earth in the form of a cow, she approaches. And it is this Brahma who, accompanied by all these personalities. So Vairaja Brahma, accompanied by all these personalities, he goes and he then prays to the Supreme Lord, standing on the shore of Kshirodaka ocean. And as he sits in meditation, offering prayers, the Devatas, whenever they see the Supreme Lord, they offer respects and they offer a beautiful prayer, very specific prayer called Purusha Shukta. In some homas you will see devotees reciting Purusha Shukta. Sahasra Sirsha Purushaha, that's a Purusha Shukta. So here also all the demigods went, all the sages, they offered this Purusha Shukta prayers. Still apparently there is no response. They heard from the Lord. They haven't seen the Lord. What to speak of speaking or hearing his voice. So then Brahma, after the demigods offering the Purusha Shukta prayers, Brahma sat down in meditation. And then he prays to the Supreme Lord. And then he opens his eyes and he tells the demigods, Supreme Lord has given us the message. In fact, he was well aware of the situation even before we came here. Because Krishna is everywhere. So, Tene Brahma Hridaya, Supreme Lord reveals from within his heart the message which he wanted to convey to all the demigods, especially to Mother Cow. We study even in Srimad Bhagavatam, the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasya tonyavaditaratasthate shabhinyaswarat tene brahma hridayadikavaye muyanti yat surayaha tejovari mridam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha swamna tena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. This is 1.1.1 in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. So, Tene Brahma Hridaya. Krishna, he reveals knowledge from the heart of Lord Brahma. So, here Brahma gets the message from Krishna, Kshirodakashai Vishnu, and then he conveys to the demigods. He says that the Supreme Lord had already known about the situation that's prevalent on planet Earth. He is going to soon appear on this planet to rid of all the demons and to re-establish the principles of religion. However, before he appears, he wants all the devatas, demigods, along with their wives, to take birth in Yadu dynasty to assist the mission of the Lord. And in due course of time, the Supreme Lord will soon appear. This is the message. And everyone was happy, satisfied, and they head back to their own planets, getting ready to assist the Supreme Lord in his pastime. And then Srimad Bhagavatam shifts its focus to a beautiful marriage ceremony. As we were discussing yesterday, there are few personalities who we'll hear often, especially in the beginning chapters. Kamsa, Vasudev, Devaki. Each one of them, they are related as cousins. And we were discussing yesterday, father of Devaki was Devaka. Likewise, father of Kamsa was Ugrasena. Father of Vasudev is Surasena. And so is father of Pritha or Kunti Maharani. So Vasudev and Pritha or Kunti Maharani's father is Surasena, Kamsa's father is Ugrasena, and Devaki's father is Devaka. So there was a marriage ceremony that happened between Vasudev and Devaki. And Kamsa, as a very dutiful cousin, dutiful brother of Devaki, he drives a chariot with Devaki and Vasudev on board. Srila Prabhupada says, in Vedic times, when a girl is married and she goes to the parents' home, the girl will miss their parents very much. So in order to mitigate the distress, some members of the girl's family, especially the brother, would go along with her and her newly wedded husband, so that she doesn't feel left out, she doesn't miss the home. Not only that, she would also take along with her many of her childhood friends. In Devaki's case also, you will see there were 200 maidservants. Even though officially they are known as maidservants, for Devaki, they are her dearmost friends. And in many instances you will come across, like Sarmishta Devyani. They grew up together. It's just that one among them happened to be the princess. That's all. But they don't deal with each other with respect. It's not a Gaurava Sakya. It's more Vishramba Sakya. It's given. Vishramba Sakya means very casual friendship. Gaurava Sakya is you have friendship with someone fully understanding about the person's position. So here they are childhood friends, but officially if you see Devaki, she is the princess and all of them are maidservants. But actually Devaki treats all of them as her own friends. And whoever the girl is married to, the person will also make arrangements for all the maidservants. So this is the Vedic culture. So here Devaki being accompanied by her cousin who is driving the chariot with herself and her husband Vasudeva on board, along with 200 maidservants. They were going towards Vasudeva's home. So this is the scene. And in this marriage, there was a dowry that was contributed by Devaka. Dowry, unfortunately, Prabhupada explains in modern terms, it is seen as something being demanded by the husband. But Prabhupada says this is a concocted version. In Vedic times, the father will give whatever that is within his capacity as gifts on his own. So here Devaka, being a great king with so much wealth and affluence, he gives in dowry 400 elephants fully decorated with golden garlands, 15,000 decorated horses, and 1,800 chariots. He also arranged for 200 beautiful girls to follow his daughter. And these are the friends of Devaki, the friends who she grew up with. So she will never miss her home. She is already being accompanied by so many, 200 friends. Plus her cousin is also driving. So this is the arrangement. And in this scene, as Kamsa is driving the chariot, suddenly there was a voice from the sky, Akashavani, that is telling Kamsa, you fool, the 8th child of this couple is going to kill you. Without knowing this fact, you are peacefully driving the chariot. So this is the Akashvani. Now Kamsa, he is one of the kings in Bhoja dynasty. Bhoja dynasty, especially after appearance of Kamsa. If you read the Puranas, you will see many instances of Kamsa fighting with different demons. Later on we will see the different demons who Kamsa sends to kill Krishna in Vrindavana. Each one of those personalities, from Putana to Aghasura to Trinavarta, each one of them, Kamsa had already challenged for a one-to-one combat and he had defeated them effortlessly, including the wrestlers who he pitches against Krishna and Balaram, Chanur, Mushtik, everyone. Kamsa was a great warrior, because if you want to be the enemy of Krishna, that's not an easy position to attain. You need to have some qualification. And Kamsa's chivalrous nature, you will see. It's described in different Puranas, how he defeated each one of them. And he would go, the deal for the combat will be very simple. Whoever wins or whoever loses becomes the servant of who he wins. And that's it. This is how he defeats everyone, and everyone becomes his servant. Even though each one of the demons, once I was reading, I was thinking, every demon is saying, because Krishna used to kill 3 demons every day. Morning, afternoon, evening, one each, after every meal. I used to think, these demons, they already knew. They are already seeing other demons being killed. Why are they still agreeing to Kamsa? And then when I was reading about these stories about Kamsa, I was realizing, they have to choose between, as they say, devil and Dead Sea. Whichever way they go, they are going to get killed. So they chose better get killed by Krishna. Because they can't say no. They are already servants of Kamsa, because Kamsa had already defeated each one of them. So Kamsa was a great warrior. Demonia king though. So Kamsa, as soon as he hears about this message from the sky, his heart was filled with fear. Immediately, he does a very heinous act of catching the hair of his sister, and he raises his sword, ready to kill her. Prabhupada says this is the nature of demons. For their own sense gratification, they won't think twice to even kill their near and dear ones. And even among them, many instances, Prabhupada says, in history, this incidents repeat itself. Somebody will be born as a prince, but they can't wait until the king retires, so they will poison the king or they'll kill the king. So Prabhupada says, Kamsa is also like that, and he demonstrates that here. Kamsa, who was the son of Ugrasena, he raises his sword, ready to kill Devaki. At that time, Vasudeva, as a dutiful husband, he intercepts and then he stops Kamsa. Vasudeva, he gives advice to Kamsa, the knowledge of you are not the body, you are the soul, Atma Vidya or Brahma Vidya. And if you read this section, very beautiful section, you will see how much Vasudeva is well versed in Shastric knowledge. And he beautifully explains one of the meaning of the word Acharya. Acharya means great teacher. Acharya means one who leads by example, one who walks the talk. Acharya also means one who teaches complex topics using simple examples. So here you will see Vasudeva, he uses very simple analogies to teach Kamsa about the most fundamental lesson of Bhagavad Gita, which is you are not the body, you are the soul. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The body can be slain, but the soul can't be. So he tells Kamsa, O king, you're worried about you getting killed by the 8th child of Devaki. But let me tell you, whoever who is born in this world, right at the time of birth, their date of death is already predetermined. So if someone is 25 years old, that means they have already died 25 years. So what we call as our age, my age is 42. That means how much ever long my lifespan is, 42 years of that is already dead. That's what it means. Whatever we state as our age, that's how many years we have already died. There's only few more that's left. Battery is reducing. It's already going to, hopefully, orange, not red yet. For some of us, it may be in green. So, when somebody is said to be of 25 years old, it means they have already died for 25 years. And what we call as our body is just a creation of our mind. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, tyajatente kalevaram, tam tam eveti kauntaya, sadatad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being, whatever thoughts our mind is filled with at the time of death, that thought will actually create the next body. So whatever we see as our body is just material manifestation of our subtle thought. Sometimes you go in front of the mirror and you see, that was a crazy thought. Correct? Our thoughts create our next body. It's our mind, which is the seat of all these thoughts, that creates our body. So Vasudeva tells to Kamsa, what we consider ourselves as, what we consider our identity as, rather, is not really ourselves. We are the soul inside this body. And this soul continues its journey in this body, and this body at one point of time, it will give up its energy, its vigor, at which time the soul rejects this body and takes another body. In order to explain this transmigration of the soul, he uses two beautiful analogies. He says, when you see a person walking, how does a kangaroo walk? Kangaroo hops. But normally, how do we walk? We have 2 feet right next to each other. 1 foot will go forward, 1 foot will go forward. Only after that foot lands, the next foot is taken off the ground and it moves. At any point of time, you will see only 1 foot in action. The other foot will be giving balance. So he uses this analogy to explain, in the same way, the soul will prepare its next body using its thoughts, mind, intelligence and false ego. So it's actually the subtle body that creates already the next body, just like the first foot is coming forward. Once that is landed, just like you lift your back foot, similarly, you give up the old body. Such a beautiful analogy. He gives another analogy. He says, have you seen these small worms? You will see them in spring season now. In our Tulsi house also you will find small worms. You know, the insects go in, they lay the eggs, and they are born on Tulsi leaf, and they start eating the Tulsi leaf. And they hate cold water. Because when summer starts, we start to sprinkle. They'll be very active. And you can see that they are quite disturbed. And they're like, who is this guy? Who is doing the Vaishnava Parad? Sorry, Prabhu, please come out. And they'll eat the whole plant. Sometimes we think, they eat so many leaves. What is happening? It's just this tiny little body. But it can keep on eating, hundreds of leaves. So whenever we see them, we catch them. One day I was seeing Krishna Tulsi Mataji. She had all of them. And she would always tell me, you have to take care of them also. Before I used to catch them and put on the leaves outside. Then one day she looked at it and she was very upset with me. And she said, why are you leaving them outside? These leaves are very hard for them to eat. Then I asked Mataji, what am I supposed to do? I have to give them some plant. Then she says, okay, every time you pick up, you put them in a place. And she has her own plants, which she buys from Bunnings as fodder for these tiny insects, these tiny worms. Talk about Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis being compassionate, that is compassion. Devotee care. You look at her state of consciousness. So if you see the worm, they move from one leaf to the other. In fact, that's how we catch. If you want to catch them, they move like this. If you want to catch, you put your finger there. And then they climb on your finger. And then you lift them. The moment when they think they have landed safe and they lift the back part of their body, you lift them. And they are like, oh my God, So he gives this analogy of a worm moving like this. Just like how the worm first lands in the next twig before lifting the back part of its body. Similarly, the soul first creates the next body. The mind, intelligence, thoughts, everything they create the next body before quitting the previous body. Such a beautiful analogy. So he uses these two analogies to explain the transmigration of the soul from one body to the other. And he says, whatever we call as our body, just like in dream. In Uddhava Gita, Krishna explains that there are 3 states, 3 modes when we sleep. Jagrati, Swapna and Sushupti, it's given. Jagrati means wakeful state, hopefully. We are in Jagrati state. But the real meaning of the word Jagrati means one who is attuned, one whose frequency is on Krishna. Prabhupada says that's the actual Jagrati, wakeful state, fully wakeful. Topmost state of consciousness, Prabhupada says, is Krishna consciousness. That's the actual Jagrati stage. But even on a mundane level, we can consider we are staying awake now, so this is Jagrati. And then we go to sleep. Whichever night we actually have dreams, what it means is during those nights our sleep is compromised. So dreaming sleep is not deep sleep. Dreaming sleep is you are still half in reality and half away from reality. Half you are still in gross and half of your body is still in subtle. So that is dreaming state, swapna stage. You don't get proper rest during that stage. Sushupti is deep state, deep sleep. Sometimes have you got that experience? The day after Janmashtami. By the time you wind up the temple room, it's already 2:30. And then you think, okay, I'll come. Prabhuji, please wake me up. And then you go close your eyes. Suddenly some devotee comes and wakes up. Prabhuji, it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever the time. So soon, we stare at the clock thinking something is wrong with the clock. They say like, no Prabhuji, everything is going fine. Get up. When we are so tired, when legs especially, they are so tired, you get very deep sleep. That's the actual sleep. That's when our body gets maximum rest. Whereas sleep that is filled with dreams, mind is still very much active. And it's the mind based on the impression that it has already registered, it concocts things. Narada Muni says, our mind is not capable of creating something which it hasn't experienced in the past. Whatever we think, human mind, and for that matter, the mind of any of the 8.4 million species, they don't have the capacity to think, conceive something on its own. Whatever we think as our creativity, it's simply rejigging the impressions based on our past experience in any one of our body. So when we are sleeping, in dream also we are getting something. Prabhupada would often give example of golden mountain. We have experience of gold in real life and we have experience of mountain. In dream, our mind concocts, matches both. Prabhupada in another place he says, sometimes you sleep and in sleep, if you are hungry before you sleep, and in sleep you will see somebody giving you chapati, roti, Prabhupada is saying. And then in the same class, Prabhupada says, you can go to Golaka Vrindavan. And there are Kalpa Vriksha trees. You can go in front of Kalpa Vriksha trees and you can tell them, please give me samosa. And they'll give you samosa, like the Prabhupada says. In one place. So he uses this example of sleep. In dream also we see us acquiring different body, us assuming many weird forms, even us being scared. One of my friends said, this is material world. Somehow, all bad dreams, you will see the climax of it. All good dreams stop abruptly. How many of you have that experience? Material world, it happens. If a tiger is chasing, it will catch you. Only then you will wake up. Ah! But sometimes you think, remember temple, you see Krishna, you will wake up immediately. As if like, you got the shock of your life. I once had that experience. One night I prayed to Radha Gopinath. I was staying in West Street at the time. And I prayed to Radha Gopinath, I want to come tomorrow morning for Mangalarati, please wake me up. And I slept. And in dream, in Vrindavan, I haven't been to Vrindavan, in dream I am seeing Radha Kunda. I haven't seen, I'm asking a devotee there, is this Radha Kunda? He's saying, yes. Then I'm seeing a temple, dark ancient temple, and there is Krishna inside. I'm asking, who is this? They are saying, this is Madan Mohanji. I was feeling very happy. And then in the dream, I'm thinking, oh my God, today is Monday, I have a production run, I didn't inform my boss, what am I doing in Vrindavan? And I woke up. Then I thought, I'm so attached. And I was attached. I am attached. Somehow good dreams, you wake up abruptly. So he says, this whole life, what we see as us acquiring this body, this is just one of the designs of the mind. This is not real. Just like in dream, how we accept some bodies, similarly in real also, this life is also like a dream and we have accepted something which is unreal. I'll correct myself, something temporary. It is real but temporary. Something When we say it's unreal, unreal in the context of this is not us. In that sense, this is unreal. This is not our real us. So he says one should not be disturbed by any of these concoctions of the mind, any of these manifestations of the mind, and one should not be carried away from the path of religion, thinking, let me protect this body, no matter what, even if it means I had to kill my sister. So, Vasudeva gives this beautiful knowledge to Kamsa. He also gives another analogy. He says, if you look at the moon being reflected on different bodies of water, and something could be even ghee or different bodies of liquids on water. Sometimes when the wind blows or a cooling breeze touches water, disturbing its surface, you will see the surface of the water wobbling a bit, and because of that, that reflection gets distorted. You can't see a clear image of the moon. You would wait. But actually, is the moon disturbed? No. It's just the reflective object that got disturbed that creates the impression that actually the moon is distorted. Actually, moon is still stay put in the same position, in its same form. So he says, similarly, our soul is not disturbed by any of this external changing of bodies. It's not disturbed by any of these bad dreams. Even though we think, if I'm going to die, it means my whole existence is going to finish. Just like if somebody thinks that because the reflection on the water is wobbly, that means moon itself has got distorted. Similarly, we tend to think because of our attachment to this body, but he says, just like how the moon and the water body is different, similarly the soul and this body is different. To think that they both are same is again a disturbance caused by the mind. So in this way, he gives very convincing arguments to Kamsa, and he tells that he should lower his sword and he should not actually engage in this heinous crime. Now, if somebody gives these arguments, very convincing, right? But they were not good enough for Kamsa. He was still not relinquishing his sword. So then Vasudeva, he thinks, at this point of time, I'm not able to convince Kamsa, so let me do something to at least postpone this situation. Isn't that what generally people do? You may have some sudden need and somebody may borrow, thinking, let me borrow even if it is at an interest rate. At least this will give me time and then I'll be able to fix the situation. So whenever any hardship, any difficulty that comes in our life, we tend to take that instinctive stance, which is, let me just postpone it. So Vasudeva thinks that way and he tells to Kamsa, look Kamsa, it's only the 8th son who is going to kill. We don't even know whether we'll be blessed with a son or a daughter, and even if it is one of them, we also don't know how many of them will be born. But here I give you my word that as soon as Devaki gives birth to any child, I will bring them to you. Now Vasudeva, as he is pronouncing his word, giving his word to Kamsa, he is thinking in his mind, Akashavani can't be wrong. And if according to this heavenly voice, Kamsa is supposed to be killed by the 8th child, that's the will of providence, nobody can change. And if that comes to pass, by then that 8th child can actually kill Kamsa, means the child will remain alive and the child will also protect the mother by killing Kamsa. This is what he is thinking. Shukadeva Goswami explains this way and he says, I give you my word. Now Vasudeva, he had a very impeccable track record of keeping his word. So when he tells him about his promise, that convinces Kamsa. And Kamsa says, all right, I take your word. I will not engage in this ghastly act of killing my sister. So you can go home. Then they both reach home. And then, as time progresses, Devaki started to give birth to one child after the other. Upon the birth of the first child, Vasudev, he brings the child to Kamsa. And at that time, Kamsa was very moved by Vasudev's integrity. Here is someone who had told me that as soon as his child is born, he would come and give to me. And that promise he gave about a year ago. And now here he is with a newly born baby. So then Kamsa appreciated Vasudev's keeping his promise. And then he tells Vasudev, it's only the 8th child who was predicted to be my killer, so I don't want to kill this child. You can take the child back. So Vasudeva was happy to hear that, and as he was carrying the child back, he was also all too aware of how whimsical Kamsa's mind also can go. Because it was not long ago, Kamsa was driving the chariot as a very loving brother, and all that had to happen for him to flip is just the voice from the heaven. That was enough. Immediately he was the very same sister he was lovingly driving chariot for. He didn't hesitate in his attempt to kill her. So Vasudev, he was thinking this way as he was heading back to his palace. Meanwhile, Narada Muni was thinking, Kamsa, he is acting very good. If he's acting this good, then there won't be much purpose for Supreme Lord to descend down. Supreme Lord descending down will take even more long. Let me accelerate it. So he goes to Kamsa and he confuses Kamsa. First of all, he tells Kamsa, do you know all these family members of Yadus, even those in Vrindavan, Nanda Baba, everyone, including your father, Ugrasena, Surasena, Vasudev, they are all not ordinary personalities, they are heavenly personalities. They have descended down here specifically to assist in the mission of the Supreme Lord. Then when Kamsa comes to know about it, he changes his mind. Narada also tells Kamsa about a story of his past, that how in his previous life he was a demon by name Kalanemi, and how in a ghastly war between the demons and the demigods, Vishnu, he killed Kalanemi, and he reminded him about his enmity with Lord Vishnu. So when Kamsa heard from Narada Muni about the appearance of each of these different personalities in his family, in Yadu dynasty, as well as in Vrindavan, headed by Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya, Kamsa was certain that Vishnu is going to appear soon. So then immediately he arrests Vasudev and Devaki. So during the birth of the first child, Vasudeva and Devaki, they were not imprisoned. It's only after the birth of the first child they were put in prison. So during the birth of the first child, they were in the palace. But when Narada Muni says this, at that time Kamsa was certain that Vishnu is going to be born. So he immediately ties them, shackling them to an iron chain, and then he puts them in the prison. We'll stop here and continue on this most beautiful narration of Krishna's pastimes next Tuesday. Thank you for your kind attention and enjoy rest of your Ekadashi evening. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath's devotees ki jai, devotees in Mayapur TV, YouTube and Facebook ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.